The PC gave us computing power at home, the internet connected us, and mobile let us do it pretty much anywhere. Now generative AI lets us communicate with technology in our own language using our own senses. But figuring it all out when you're living through it is a totally different story. Welcome to Leading the Shift, a new podcast from Microsoft Azure. I'm your host, Susan Ettlinger. In each episode, leaders will share what they're learning to help you navigate all this change with confidence. Please join us. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
The Red Apple Media Podcast Network presents This is Protecting America. Now, here's Emmy-winning journalist Rita Cosby.
And welcome to another edition of Protecting America. I'm Rita Cosby. Well, since President Trump took office again, illegal border crossings into the United States have dropped more than 90%. Yet there are still Democratic leaders who are openly defying federal law, saying that they will not work with ICE agents, even to help deport illegal criminal migrants. Some Democrats are blatantly blocking federal law enforcement efforts, and some activists are now even doxing ICE agents and others, putting out publicly their names, their faces, phone numbers, and other personal information. Boy, this is so dangerous. And joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Paul Perez. He is the president of the National Border Patrol Council, the law enforcement union, which represents 15,000 Border Patrol agents, brave men and women right there on the front lines. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rita. It's always good to be with you.
How low are the numbers now of illegal border crossings, and what do you attribute that to?
Well, just the other day we had a couple hundred, and that's the lowest that we've had in decades. And so I attribute that to the policies that President Trump put in place. More importantly, allowing us to go out and patrol and deter the border, something that we weren't able to do for the last 4 years under President Biden. So it's been really, really good, big morale boost. And our agents are out there finally doing the job that they swore to do.
You know, you talked about the numbers. It's stunning when you see that it's 90% plus. I was seeing on one day, I think on the southern border, and you know this better than anyone, Paul, that it was about 200 illegal crossings. Compare that to at its peak, sometimes it was 4, 5, 6,000. I mean, that's an incredible when you think about disparity. What does that say to you? First of all, it makes your job so much easier, but it also probably says, boy, if somebody at the top has a will, you guys can certainly carry out the mission.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you from personal experience, I was in McAllen several years ago while we were, getting inundated, and I personally was part of an effort to apprehend a couple hundred just in one fell swoop. So to actually apprehend about 200 across the nation, that is a feat in and of itself, and something that we haven't seen in, like I said, decades. I've been on the border almost 28 years, and so these numbers are amazing, but it is a testament to the changes that have been put in place by Secretary Noem, Chief Michael Banks, and, under the leadership of the president. So it's really, really good for us.
You know, a lot of migrant shelters are also closing, which is a testament to the fact that they don't have anybody to go there. There was a report recently. It was one in San Diego. I think they haven't seen a migrant in months. I think since, ironically, January 20th, which, of course, was Inauguration Day. And then also the Roosevelt Hotel in New York, for example, Paul, which, was sort of the way station, sort of the, when they came there, they got processed. There were, I think it was over 100,000 came through there. They are about to close in a few months. Isn't that proof enough that, think about had somebody at the high up level in the White House had a will, think about how much money it would have saved taxpayers, time on your part and all the different Border Patrol agents. It really is astonishing how quick the spigot has been shut off.
Yeah, if you take a look at New York City alone, the amount of money that they spent, taxpayer money that they spent on housing illegal immigrants in those types of hotels, it's mind-boggling to think that somebody thought that was okay when we've got numbers of veterans out that need help, We've got homeless people in the streets that are actually U.S. citizens. And what they did was they took money, not only in New York City, but places like Chicago as well. They took taxpayer money and they funded, illegal immigrant shelters instead of allowing us to do the job and remove people who had no legal basis to be here. They were spending millions and millions of taxpayer money to shelter them.
What's your reaction to places like even New York? They're trying to get the money that was clawed back from the federal government because suddenly the Trump administration came in and said, wait a minute, exactly to your point, Paul, that they had spent $80 million of that was federal funds. And a lot of it was on housing illegal migrants and nice 4- or 5-star hotels. Of course, Kristi Noem, those folks, they had the bank account they wired it to, they clawed it back, they got it back. But now New York City is trying to sue to get it back because they're saying, listen, the Biden administration promised us. But boy, doesn't that just show how much money was spent and exactly for even like hotels? I mean, you look at how many homeless veterans there are across the country.
Yeah, so the fact that they're filing a lawsuit is nothing surprising. The first term and this term, we've seen that they're going to be very litigious. There's going to be a lot of court hearings. And so I don't believe that the Department of Justice is going to back down because they feel what they're doing to take back that money because it's taxpayer money is the right thing to do. And so like President Trump has said many times, we'll see you in court and let it play out there. But we believe that the authority that they're using to take back taxpayer-funded money and spend it on American citizens is the absolute right thing to do.
Experience a progressive lens engineered with AI from Essilor, powered by individual measurements of your visual behavior. A lens personalized to you by an Essilor expert. Discover Verilux XR Track and enjoy instantly sharp vision in motion and seamless transitions from near to far. Find your local Essilor expert today at Essilor.com.
Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix. Online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at StitchFix.com.
Choosing a bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drink that's all flavor and just 100 calories? Easy. Choosing between creamy vanilla, double chocolate, and sea salt caramel flavors? A little harder. Try the delicious new Starbucks Frappuccino light drinks. Look for them wherever you buy groceries. Start with Starbucks coffee.
Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
Paul, what about also some of these lawsuits that are coming from Department of Justice, from Pam Bondi and others, going after sanctuary cities? How important is that? It sends certainly a message. She started with Illinois and Chicago. She named, the governor there and the mayor there. And then they went after New York State, going after Letitia James, the attorney general, also listing the New York governor. How important is that to sort of unravel those who are saying essentially it's sanctuary city and try to change those policies so people realize the repercussions of it? Well,
sanctuary cities is one of those where you gotta look at it from the common sense perspective instead of a political lens and say, we do not want criminal aliens in our municipalities, in our cities, in our states, because the people that we're going after, these people have criminal records. They're not honoring ICE detainers, and so they're releasing criminals into the streets to commit more crimes. The amount of people that have lost their lives to criminal aliens in this country is astounding, and something that we should not have to put up with. So for ICE not to have their detainers honored by sheriffs or police chiefs solely for political reasons is not the best way to protect your community. We're going after these hardcore criminals. We're going after these people that have had their day in court, that have orders for removal, and we're trying to remove them, and they're not cooperating. So I do believe that what the Department of Justice is doing is the right thing to do to protect our communities.
You know, you brought up the fact that these are folks who've gone through the system. And these are also folks who many people in the Biden administration had. I know you and I talked about that before. It's amazing that essentially when the Trump administration came in, these files were sort of sitting there. So they knew they had these folks who were convicted of very serious crimes, like murder, rape, some serious theft, child attacks. I mean, it's horrible, as you know, better than anybody. But yet it seemed like the Biden administration did not want to remove them. So it actually, in many ways, made it easy when the Trump administration came in. But the sad reality is that clearly they were here before, but yet there was no will to deport them, right?
That's absolutely correct. There are hundreds of thousands of aliens that have final orders of removal they're going to be deported one way or another. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but at some point, a law enforcement officer is going to come across them, whether it's a traffic stop, whether it's some type of other police call that they get. And because of the actions that Pam Bondi's taken through the Department of Justice, we're going to come across these people that have final orders of removal, and they're going to be taken back to their home countries, and their home countries are going to take them. They're not playing these games anymore.
Yeah, and they certainly seem to be getting the message, about that from the top down. I was talking with Tom Homan recently, the border czar, and Tom was saying also how serious it is, some of these cities and, other municipalities that are blocking efforts of ICE to deport. Because what he's saying is when you're not working with ICE, what it means is that when they go into the community, whether it's ICE or Border Patrol agents are going into the communities, what's happening, and you know this, that they actually have to come in with more agents. They have to come in with more law enforcement. And it puts obviously the agents in danger. It puts also citizens in danger. Other citizens could get rounded up. Whereas if these communities were cooperating, these folks would be handed over and nobody would be sort of swept up in it. So it actually is, it's very dangerous on a lot of levels. And it also puts other people in danger.
Yeah. It's easy. The easiest thing, it's very easy for us to go into a secure facility, take custody of somebody in a secure facility rather than have them released into the community. And we've now got to go into their homes and take them into custody. And there may be other people that are going to get swept up in that as well. So it's easy for the states, the municipalities to just say, hey, ICE, Border Patrol, we've got people in custody. We're going to honor this detainer and come pick them up while they're in our custody in a safe, secure environment.
Just like how Mayor Eric Adams had recently said that he would open it up to ICE and Rikers, right? That's very helpful.
Yeah. Very, very helpful. Absolutely.
Are they finding creative ways, people, to go across the border now because they know that it's now a secure border? They know that they're not welcome. They know that they're going to be deported. They're going to be screen vetted. There were reports that maybe some of the folks are trying to come by boat much more frequently or trying to come up with more creative sort of ways to sneak in because they know it's that much tougher.
Yeah, so the cartels are going to become more creative because everything on the border is controlled by the criminal cartels, and so nobody's crossing without their permission. The cartels can charge more money because it's a lot more difficult to come across, but they are going to become more creative. They're going to become more aggressive, and we've already seen that out on the line. So people are not going to stop trying, but as long as we have President Trump out there directing the way we do our work, we're going to be able to deter, and we're going to keep the numbers down.
You said, they've become a lot more creative, aggressive. What kind of actions have you seen? I know there have been some reports of even firing on border agents. Do you feel that they're getting more desperate?
They absolutely are. They've fired on our agents in different areas of the border. Our agents have returned fire. We're going to do what we need to do to defend ourselves. And as they get more aggressive, as they get more desperate, we're going to be putting more agents out there. We're going to have DOD out there, and DOD is going to defend themselves as well. So it's a force multiplier, and they're out there to make sure that we can secure this border once and for all.
How tough is it to be a border agent these days? Obviously, now they feel they can do their job more, but it's also very tough when you're cracking down on the cartels.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. And look, we've never really been the most popular team on the block, and so we've gotten it. You remember how President Biden accused our agents of whipping the Haitian migrants in Del Rio?
Yes.
It just takes something like that to be labeled as a group of racist thugs. And if you look at the Border Patrol, the makeup of the Border Patrol, almost half or more than half of the Border Patrol is made up of Hispanic agents. And so we are the furthest thing from a racist organization, but it's very difficult. Our families worry about us because of the cartel threat, but we also have to worry about the false narrative, the stereotypes, and, how we get treated in the communities. Like you talked about, what you alluded to about people being doxxed, ICE agents, that puts our agents and our agents' families in jeopardy. It puts them at risk because somebody's political view is to take care of illegal aliens, protect illegal aliens who are here committing crimes, these criminals that we're going after, rather than protecting the agents that are out there trying to protect them.
Yeah, you brought up a great example because it's so horrible. And I've seen these recent reports of the doxing with the posters, with the names and the faces. That's also extremely dangerous. First of all, I think those people should be charged for, it's not free speech. That's harassment and threatening. But I also think it also not only obviously puts the officials, ICE or border agents or whoever they're trying to dox, puts them in danger, puts their family in danger. How risky is that to you when you hear somebody doing that and all you and your fellow law enforcement are trying to do is protect America, and yet there are these fanatics who seem to be targeting agents?
Yeah, I can tell you this. We trust the Department of Homeland Security leadership. We trust the Department of Justice leadership, and we trust that President Trump will make sure that if there is any harm brought to any of our agents or ICE officers because of the doxing, somebody's going to be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law.
Yeah, because that is just so unbelievably dangerous, as are these leaks, too, right? Because there have been leaks about raids that are out there. I'm sure it's obviously comforting that you hear that they're cracking down on it, but that's important to have somebody held accountable in that way, too, because they need to be set example, because you can't start leaking and putting agents in danger.
Of course. No, you not only put us in danger, you put the public in danger. Wherever it is we've got to do enforcement activities, you're putting everybody in danger by doing those things.
What do you think when you hear, a number of Democratic leaders who come out, and there was this week, it seems like every week there's somebody new, and this week it's from Boston. Even the commissioner there, the police commissioner, was saying that they're not going to abide by federal law. There are a number of other local leaders. What do you make when you hear that? Is that grandstanding? How do you change that? Because we're talking now, again, criminal migrants are the ones being deported. They're the focus right now. And the fact that they are going crazy over criminal migrants, it really is astounding, I think, to even many people in the American public, because the public is, you look at all the polls, they're with you guys. They want this. They want their communities to be safe.
I used to think in the past that they didn't know any better. They'd never seen, what we go through up front. But now I know they not only understand, they completely ignore what's really going on the border. They ignore the realities of, the criminal illegal aliens out in the communities committing these crimes. There have been a lot of innocent men, women, and especially children that have been victimized by these criminal illegal aliens. And rather than take a position to protect them, they do the complete opposite. And so I believe it's purely political because they know what's at stake. They know that the safety and security of our children, our families, is at risk by having these. A lot of them are predators. By having them out there in the streets, they know what's at risk. And instead of helping, they harm the efforts that we have to try and apprehend everybody.
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? Well, check this out. It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. Seriously. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
PMS, pregnancy, menopause. Being a woman is a lot. Ollie supports you and yours with expert solutions for every age and life stage. They just launched 2 new products exclusively at Walmart. Period Hero combats bloat, mood swings, and more during PMS. And Balance Perimeno to support hormonal balance, mood, and metabolism during perimenopause. Grab yours at Ollie.com. Ollie! These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
You talked about the predators. Some of the folks who I know already have been rounded up. I mean, you look at their rap sheet, murderers. Many of these are very violent. And also, I can't imagine how difficult it is, Paul, when your agents are involved with folks from gangs like Tren de Aragua who seem to have no regard for law enforcement.
Yeah, that's correct. If you saw the videos of how Tren de Aragua did in Aurora, Colorado, that's just a small sampling of what they were doing there. But you've got MS-13, you've got the criminal cartels, you've got all of these vicious gang members that are committing crimes daily. And so we're doing our best to get them out, but it does take cooperation of these sanctuary cities. We need all law enforcement to help us, and we don't need anybody having their hands tied like we had ours for the last 4 years.
Where do you think is best to house them also? What are your thoughts just from dealing with them? Because obviously a lot of them need major security depending the level of the crimes. But there's a lot of discussions of late where they've talked about, even at the administration, of putting them in military facilities. Obviously Gitmo's been a place too as well.
Some of these criminals are so hardcore their own countries didn't want to take them back. And so I believe that Gitmo is a perfect place for them. There's other facilities that are run by the Bureau of Prisons. There's county jails that they can contract with. These people belong in those types of facilities that can actually house the worst of the worst. If it's somebody that's got a criminal history, they've done their time in prison and they can be removed and their country will take them, then I think we should remove them immediately. And I think that's what's happening. But these that can't be released, and President Trump has said we don't trust their own countries to house them, so we're going to send them to Gitmo. I think that's the right call.
And before I let you go, Paul Perez, you brought up that you have been in law enforcement 20 plus years. Tell us a little bit about your journey and why you got involved and why you really are devoted to protecting America.
Sure. I'm from North Texas. I went into the military early on and went from the military straight into the Border Patrol. I came in 1997, so I'm going on 28 years, and it's just I've always wanted to serve, and I wanted to be in law enforcement, and I felt that this job was one that I would get great satisfaction from. And in the 28 years, we've had the highest of the highs under President Trump, the lowest of the lows under Biden, and now we're back at the top morale-wise. And so I really love this job. I'm going to continue doing it for many, many more years, and we want to make this country safe.
Well, we're lucky to have you with your great background. What branch of the military were you in, Paul?
I served in the Navy.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, bravo to you for your service in the Navy and obviously all your years since 1997. They're protecting us on the border, too, as well. Thank you for all you do. You know how much we love and appreciate all the great men and women there of the National Border Patrol Council, the president there, Paul Perez, and everybody be sure to subscribe and share to this awesome podcast, such important information. Paul, thank you. And we're constantly thinking of all the hard work you guys are doing and keeping you in our thoughts and prayers because you are doing such important work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And everybody, I'll be back soon with another great edition of Protecting America. And of course, you can catch me every weeknight, 10 p.m. to midnight on the legendary WABC Radio. This is Rita Cosby, and thanks for all you do to protect America.